rundown of the goings on in the entertainment industry. We know that you're busy, so we try to keep you a wind of all the things that are going on within the past week. And of course, I'm not alone in talking about some of the goings on this week. So once again, I want to welcome on Spillman, aka Spills. What's going on, man? How you doing this Saturday?
Good morning, good afternoon almost. How's it going, everybody?
How you doing on this gray, rainy Saturday, man?
Oh yeah, it's a little gloomy, but it's a good day out, Happy to be joining you all here on this beautiful YouTube channel. Uh, you
Yeah.
know,
And
we're
shout
happy
out
to
to
see it.
those folks that are doing their rent fair stuff. I've been getting some notifications from some friends that are, taking advantage of the rainy day to do rent fair. I guess that's the thing. So, um, uh, with that being said, let's hop into, some of the news bits that have made the rounds. The first thing that I want to hop into is actually something that, unless you've been living under a rock, you're aware that it's been going on currently, and that's none other than the SAG after strike that has been ongoing. Of course, there was a deal that was put in for WGA with the Writers Guild, and that deal had been, as we discussed last week, had been done. But we still have, SAG after still ongoing. And in an article out of Deadline, it was revealed that SAG-AFTRA's Duncan Crabtree Ireland is heading to New York Comic Con for discussion of AI. So to give you some further details about that, Mr. Ireland is the national executive director and chief negotiator for SAG-AFTRA. So if anyone is privy of what's going on and what's at stake, the specifics of it, he would be privy, what those discussions are. But it's with New York Comic Con coming, upcoming in this coming weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. It's still a hot button issue, especially not just with how the strike is affecting not just film and TV, obviously, but even with the ancillary things that actors and and any other performer would be going to, which is to other events with appearances and things. So, what are your thoughts on Ireland being a part of the programming and having a panel that's going into details of AI, uh, um, AI and how it's affecting what we're seeing with the ongoing strike.
Well, I believe we talked about the AI specifically last week in a
We
little
did,
bit, but
yeah.
I just think that we need to reiterate to the crowd and to our audience that these media corporations are going to try to use every possible way to squeeze as much money out of these contracts for things that are not written down. So AI is one of those things that when they wrote the contracts in, let's say, 2006, was not really a thing that anyone worried about or perceived as being a possibility. So now they're using these AI to try to replicate writing styles, try to replicate even voices of people. So I think that we should have, AI is cool and everything, but to try to use AI to um, you know take value out of people's iconic voices or iconic writing styles or iconic creative ability, really in any way, is really stealing, because it ultimately plagiarism. You know the AI uses the work of the person previously and imitates what it is just based on many different factors, and I feel like that's just cheating, because obviously this is this person's ideas. I've listened to a lot of things and read a lot of things about this AI point, and I just think it's just pure greed. That's the only way I can really describe it. How about you, Brandon?
So as I said, this is a hot button issue, that's ongoing in entertainment right now, and I think it's terrific that even in the midst of what we have going with conventions that there that Ireland, Crabtree Ireland is utilizing that as a platform to be able to discuss further, what's at stake and the issues that are, at play. To go into a little more specifics of the panel itself, and again, this is an article out of Deadline. It'll cover existing legal structures that can be used in some areas and how new standards need to be built for performers and producers to collaborate while still protecting the individual rights to performance and publicity. But again, reiterating what you're talking about. But the thing that's cool too is that it's also going to go into more detail about what's ongoing of what we kind of touched on briefly and teased, and that being what's going on with the video game industry as well. Because they're also going to talk about the role, its role in the current strike and authorization vote on the interactive media agreement that we were discussing previously. So
Mm-hmm.
it's also going to not only provide a platform, just in general to talk about SAG after, but also, what's at play with, the video game industry as well. So, I feel like it's a great opportunity to have further discussion of the severity of what's at stake in terms of how the artists that we, you know, come to know in many of these
Mm-hmm.
IPs, how they are properly, compensated and provided for when working on these projects. I feel like so many times folks who are not really privy. And I mean, we're a little, I feel like, us and maybe a select few are, a little different because we're currently, keeping track of like the news cycle, and that's not everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, in terms of the general public, that may not be the case. And so a lot of times I feel that there isn't as much of an appreciation, among the general public that's not really keeping track of the details of really appreciating the seriousness of what's at stake with this strike. A lot of times they're just thinking of you know like, again the and we've talked about it before, the one percenters that are a part of this industry that they're in a fortunate position where it's not a huge or major issue for them in terms of revenue that's being brought in. But again, that's not the entire population when we're talking about the actors and actresses that we know and love out of many of these IPs that we enjoy. So as I said, good on him of not only utilizing what they've been doing with picketing, but also you going right to many of those places where studios are still continuing to kind of push forward
Mm-hmm.
and still finding a space in those places as well. Because in terms of when we're talking about conventions, that is the source where a lot of that revenue stream is coming from. When we're talking about talk about those analytics of demographics and all of that stuff. Where whether we're talking about the demos of age or race or any of those things, any of those components that we're talking about when we're talking about demographics and talking about viewership and all those things, I feel like it will provide a another platform to be able to highlight those issues and provide a further microscope on what's at stake. So, um, all right. So outside of SAG after, another thing that we wanted to get into is the matter regarding Gallery Place. And I know for anyone who's outside of where we are locally, which is the nation's capital, Gallery Place for us is Chinatown, but there is a quadrant of it based on a story out of that was shared this week of Gallery Place essentially being, sold. And then there are a lot of, details that go into it about, why that is. I have my theories on why that is. But Spills, I will punt it over to you. What are your thoughts on this news out of Business Journal discussing the the news that the gallery place, that area or that destination is being sold.
Well, I think it's a big piece of property. It's very primo land. It's right next to the Wizards of Capitals arena. It's on three train lines. That's just just the cosmetics. I think that as someone who spends a lot of time downtown, you will notice that there are a lot of stores that used to be in that building that have closed. You could imagine any number of reasons. But personally, I think it's because the pandemic really hit hard, and people's shift to online shopping has really made a lot of retailers struggle. People are closing all over the place. Bed Bath and Beyond is no longer in business. There's a lot of places that just plain going out of business. But it's a lot of other businesses that are making headwinds, and I think that um, they can get some tenants in those lower buildings, and they'll make money because I mean it's a lot of foot traffic down there. It's just people don't buy stuff in the stores as much anymore. What are your thoughts? You know, what do you think?
So I mean, there have been and we were talking about a little bit about this offline, that there are some landmarks that are over there. Of course, we have, I still call it the MCI Center. I know a lot of people don't call it MCI Center
That's
anymore, but
Verizon Center. I at least call it
Verizon Center,
Verizon.
whatever.
Verizon was the longest
But
name.
my DC folks know what we're talking about. If you guys aren't privy to what I'm talking about, that's basically our basketball arena for the Wizards. Is right there in Chinatown. There's some other landmarks that are there as well. Whether it is, I know that there is a housing, complex that's in that area. That's a part of that. I guess you could say not necessarily conglomerate, but a part of that entire set of properties. Just as you said, that we had some businesses, some restaurants. I know, Clyde's, from what I understand, if I recall, is still there.
Oh yeah,
But
Clyde's is still pumping.
Right, but there still have been some that have since left. Like, we had what is it? Lucky Strike used to be there, and it's not there anymore.
Well, they had a
Um,
dress code, Brandon. Remember that. When you have a dress
they
code, you don't
did,
let
they
certain
did, but it
people with
wasn't.
certain
It wasn't
clothing
that.
get out
But
of
again,
here.
it was. Yeah, I get that, but it wasn't that difficult of a dress code to adhere to. To
No,
be
I don't like
honest.
dress codes. Those are
So,
mm-mm.
so you had that, and then I'm trying to remember, downstairs there was a restaurant, and it's since left as well. That
What's
they
the name
used
of
to
that
have.
place? What's the name of that
You
place?
know what I'm talking about, but
Um,
I'll give you a second while
Bar
you think.
Louie. It's called Bar
Bar
Louie.
Louie,
That's what
thank
it's
you.
called,
Yeah,
Bar
Bar
Louie.
Louie, no longer there anymore,
Well,
and
it was a fight
and
club though. They got to get those kids out of
but
there.
again, like you have Bar Louie down there, and then on the top floor, of course, of that development, or that place, you have Regal Gallery Place. You have the movie theater. So while some of those landmarks are still there, yes, we still have the movie theater there. We still have Clyde's there. There's no denying that the pandemic had a severe impact on what has transpired with a lot of those businesses that are over there.
Hmm.
And it doesn't do any favors to those places that are still there. Like, while there are places still there, it's not really a good optic or a good look to have, a blank door or blank business, blank space where something used to be that's next to you. Like, ideally, if you're a business, you want the place to be booming, where you have other businesses around you that are also thriving. It's not really a good look for yourself as a business if you have other places that are kind of that are either no longer there or had to move away, where it is aesthetically pleasing. If we're talking about visual aesthetics, it is isn't something that is going to really attract the eye if you're a consumer. Actually is going to do have the opposite effect in my opinion. So while there are some landmark places still there, I feel the fact that there are some places that are gone, it is brought down, it's had a an effect with even the businesses that are still surviving that are there, in that it kind of gives an optic that is kind of on its last leg, where I'm sure some of those places are still, generating revenue, but I feel like it would be in a better spot if there were other businesses there that were surrounding it that were still that were also booming. If that makes any sense. Um, so we'll see what happens in regards to those businesses, because at this point, like, I don't know what may come, of that situation. I know that there are a couple of businesses that they've put in the surrounding areas of the MCI center that have, have come up, if you will, in the recent months. But to be honest with you, many of them are, I'll be honest, a little gimmicky. So I don't know if they're going to really, stand the test of time or really sticking around. So we'll see, because
I don't know,
I
Brandon.
remember a
I don't
time.
know. I don't know. I feel like they just need to get people in that are doing the right things. I think um, because there's a lot of successful restaurants that are all still down there that held on through the pandemic. They got the Kaya and Bantam King right around the corner from there on 6th Street. Um, they've got like Rocket Bar and those places that are across the street. I think that because the owners were going to sell, I think that they didn't want to saddle the new owner um, with possible legacy, tenants that may not have wanted to be there. Like I understand keeping clients, and as a success, even talking about the foot traffic and the amount of people that do go down to Gallery Place. That AMC, that movie theater was one of the movie theaters. They were going to close a whole bunch of movie theaters, but that was one of the ones they were like, "Hey, we actually are kind of printing money here." And that one, I never like. Most places you go, it's not enough staff working. That movie theater up there has a ton of people working there. So I feel like they just need to get some more. Um, you know, they'll find tenants. I think, like you're saying, maybe some of them be gimmicky, but I just think that um, just with how that's a main thoroughfare for the city and it's always lots of traffic there. If they get something a little bit more in the lines of some of the businesses you see on 14th Street or maybe M Street in Southwest, that may change things. I just think that there's plenty of opportunity for it.
So I agree with you. I agree that there is an opportunity there, because I still feel like that is a terrific place if you're,
Hmm.
a business owner, to have a spot, because it's still based off of, what you were discussing. There are a lot of components there that would make having a business there ideal. You want to make sure that in a place where you have your business, that people can get there easily. As you said, Gallery Place is a major transfer point on the subway line that we have here in the nation's
Hmm.
capital. So it's not a hard place to get to, whether you have a car or don't have a car. It's a place that you can get to rather easily. However, I will also say that I remember a time, again, when Gallery Place was booming, like, door to door businesses, and it's not nowhere near at the capacity that it used to be. It's a small semblance of what it used to be, and I feel like a portion of that can be attributed to the fact that, appearance wise, it just looks like they're they're that it's not, the spot anymore, if you will.
Hmm.
Just the optics. Not to say that there isn't, there isn't if a business were to go there, it wouldn't be an attractive spot. I'm just saying right now, visually, aesthetically speaking, the fact that there are, if you know, on average, are going in that area and you see one business that's open and then like two, empty spaces of where businesses used to be before you get to your next business that's open. It just gives the optics of the idea that it's like fading away and that it's not, at its capacity as it used to be. Another example that I'll give of that, and folks, that are here in the nation's capital will know what I'm talking about. Or, if you've been to, nation's capital enough, Union Station. Union Station used to be booming, but like go to Union Station now, a lot of those places that kept the place, up and running and booming are now gone. Like even some of the places that you would expect, would stick around, like Joseph A. and Banks, gone.
Well,
H and
that
M,
that company again, a lot of these companies we talk about, Amazon is eating these companies. We are talking about a larger issue that these fast shipping companies have kind of eaten up the lane of a lot of the services that those people provide. So you
which is
know
crazy to think about, but I feel like that'd be a topic for another show. It's crazy to think about if that's the case because I don't know about you. Like for some things that you typically buy, electronics, I feel like I might be able to order it and be okay, but I still feel like I need to be in the store to be able to touch it, to be able to see, how it works and all of that and be okay with it. The same thing goes with
that's
clothes. Like
nobody's like that anymore. Nobody's like that
it's
anymore.
crazy. Like I
You
don't
buy
want to have to. I
clothes.
want to be able to try on the clothes right then and there, and I don't want to have to like figure out. Oh, this is cut differently. I gotta send this back. Wait a couple of weeks for them to send me, the correct, fit that I need for
I
those
feel
same
like
clothes.
you as a regular sized person, I feel like you don't understand. Like it used to be, I'd go to the store
I feel
and
like it
they'd
would
say,
be even more so with you. You
I
saying
like
that? I feel
online
like
shopping
as someone
way
who's a
better,
taller person, I feel like
way
you would
better.
you would feel the same exact way.
They don't keep my size in the store. They laugh, they scoff when I come in the doors. They say, "Don't you darken our door ever again. Don't come in here. We don't want your money. We don't keep your clothes in here. Go online."
Wow,
They've said it
wow.
to me for like 20 years. But the online has killed all this stuff because the online is king. So you can get your size you want online almost always. So just that alone, just knowing, okay, I want, like, for instance, I say I want a 38 pants. Those are crazy pants. You'll never find those in the store generally. But you might go to Macy's and see it. But if you go into a regular store, like a cash and carry type store, it's not going to be
Big
in
and
there.
tall? Like I don't know. Like
There are no big and tall stores, really. There are none. There
mm,
was some for a little while, but your average store is not a big and tall store. They might have a big and tall section, but they don't really have a big and tall section. Just like
okay.
for larger bodies, other things like that. But you know, I think that if they go away from pure retail into different kind of things, they'll be able to make money. I think if they make it more into a nighttime district, I think that that will help them save it. Get a couple of restaurants that could work
That's a good point. That's a
work.
good point because I mean I do remember with some of the places that are, I guess that would be, I guess that's Sixth Street where
Yeah,
they have like the Walgreens and all of that, and they
yeah.
have those strip of businesses and restaurants. 'Cause they had what what was the name of it? Was it RF? Uh,
RFD, RFD, that
RFD,
that that
RFD.
that beer
Yeah,
place
yeah,
that
yeah.
closed.
Like
But if you could, I think you'd have to have a food and alcohol though. I think that was what you would have to do. Food and alcohol, not just food, unless it's like a specialty type food. Like that vegan place down there works pretty good. But again, you just got to do some more. They'll find it. It's plenty of money down there. It's lots of people with disposable income that live above that live above those stores. So they have maybe about 5 to 6 thousand people just within that 6 block radius that live down there that frequent that place. So maybe if they could put a grocery store, I think if they could put a grocery store into where the Urban
Bed
Outfitters
Bath and
used to
Beyond.
be. No, where the Urban Outfitters used to be, or maybe Bed Bath and Beyond. But if you could put a
So
grocery store,
what place would you suggest? Like what what grocery store? I'm curious because I don't know if it would be big enough to be there
like a
unless it would
Trader
be an
Joe, if you
express
put a
one.
Trader Joe's right there, you would print money. If I could put a trade, if I had the money to put something right there, I'd put the Trader Joe's right there.
That would be a horrible idea.
Oh,
I'm
I would
sorry.
print money.
That's a
You know how
horrible
many
idea.
people like where's the nearest to downtown DC? The nearest Trader Joe's is probably southeast.
Yeah, southeast,
I think it's in
southeast, yeah,
southeast.
yeah,
And that's a
yeah, yeah.
ways. That's a ways. And most of the people that live in apartments are like you, do not have a car. So people don't like taking groceries on the metro
But that
when
see,
when it's
that's what I'm
here.
thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Like
It's
the
a
way it's
food desert.
currently the way Chinatown's currently constructed now. I feel like that would not be a good fit. If they did some construction and restructured how that place was.
They could fit it in there because they got that one in they got that Lidl in Columbia Heights that they just put in, and it's dozens and hundreds of people in there all the time whenever I go past it. The one that you have you
I would
seen it?
say just put another sports store in there. That's
No,
just
that's a
me.
waste of money. That's a waste of money. You're not thinking. You're not
Or
thinking with your
or
thinker. That stuff is on
or
Amazon now.
or put an Apple store there. I know we have the
There's
Apple
an
store
Apple
that's over
store
there
up the
by
block.
it is, but move it from there and put it up in there.
No, they pay too much money for that Carnegie, and that Carnegie is nice. They wouldn't move down the street to get out of the Carnegie. That was a that was Apple buying property in Washington. They wouldn't do that.
Put a Samsung store.
Samsung. I mean,
Put
sure,
a-
yeah, put them in a lesser store. That's what Samsung deserves. That's the kind of quality
oh
that
wow.
you get with that
Wow.
Samsung.
Wow. Wow. Um yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like I would if they were to put a grocery store there, I'm just thinking of in terms of plugging it right there, I don't know if it's the best spot in terms of it being right there on that main street. That street is already crazy as it is,
Foot
and
traffic is
to
never
put a
bad for
grocery store
business.
there,
That's
nah,
never
to put a
bad for
grocery store
business.
there, that's insane. If you were to put it there, I would say you would need to put it on the other side.
Nah,
Like you would
man.
need to put it on that back way where the um where is that? Where the on the other side of Verizon Center. So not on the side. I would put it on the opposite side if that were the case.
You would print money, bro. You would print
You
money
would put your money. I'm just saying
because
location.
you're
I would put it
only
on the
thinking
opposite
about
side.
you're only thinking about basketball game days or hockey game days, and the grocery
No,
store.
I'm thinking in general, like with everything that was going on, and you know what I mean. Everything that's been going on that's over there where we have an entrance for the subway along on top of what you have uh with all the commotion that happens there on the street, which is already, like I said, on a traffic heavy day, which is the norm, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon. It's already crazy as it stands right now. And to add to that, can you imagine adding to that online shopping and all that stuff and cars double parking and all this other foolishness that on top of what already happens on that main street?
That's
Yeah,
money,
nah.
man. You know that
Again,
Muriel likes ticket money. Muriel likes ticket money. You know what that sounds like? Money. That sounds like money to me, Brad. $150 a pop. You double park on 7th Street. You can't even turn right here. $150. $150. That's what they're gonna do with that.
hilarious.
That's money.
Hilarious.
That's how you make money.
Oh,
Because they do it
uh,
all over. On 14th Street, you can argue that same thing on 14th Street. But they continue to let people park up there and continue to let them get tickets because they continue to print money. I'm telling you, man.
I still don't feel like it's big enough though. Even after all that,
It
they would
doesn't
have to
need to be
not.
a
They would have to
huge
get rid
one.
of. I feel like they would have to get rid of at least one other business to make it worth it to put a Trader Joe's in there.
No, I don't think that they would need to, man, because that you forget how big that Urban Outfitters was. It was two levels.
I'm trying to remember.
There was
Was
a
it?
yeah, it's two levels. You go upstairs. It was a whole upstairs with a whole like because the men's section was upstairs and the women's
Okay.
section was downstairs.
Okay.
You could
Okay.
do a grocery store in a two-level one easily, Easily. Put all the high dollar stuff upstairs so can't nobody just run in and steal it and get out real quick. You be printing money, Brandon. Put the wine upstairs.
Okay. All right. All right.
Put the wine upstairs and the carrots and stuff downstairs. Nobody steals carrots.
I'm done. Okay. All right. So, oh, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, me too.
But I see. No, I see where you're getting at.
Yeah.
Um, outside of what we've talked about business, the final category that we're going to talk about on this week's show is sports related because we had a lot that happened in the world of sports.
Hmm.
Just to run down the list, of course, we had Drew Holiday. Um, Now with the Celtics, which I want to dive into. We have the expansion team for the Golden State Warriors for the WNBA. Coming, and then of course, which is not a shocker, but it's still cool to have his news is MJ. His royal airness has been listed in Forbes as being worth 3 billion. Yeah, that's three with a B $1 billion. So spills out of those three, I'll punt the ball to you. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's my thoughts. So, firstly, Um, it's good for the West Coast that Drew Holiday is not playing for the Blazers anymore because now they're going to be a terrible team. Because sure they were going to be okay with him, but without that defense, did they get Smart in that move or did they not? No, Smart is somewhere else.
So no, they got a center. So they in
Okay,
that
yeah,
deal,
then I'm
they
not
got
worried
two
about it.
players. They got let me pull it up here, give you the specifics
Heedle
of
or
it.
whatever his name is,
Yeah,
Podol.
no, so they got Robert Williams.
Oh no, they got
They
the
got
Time
Robert
Lord.
Williams and they
That's a
got
big.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah, that's a big deal. But the Time Lord and Aiden playing together, I don't think those two are going to play well together. They got too many similar skill sets, not enough separating skill sets. If Aiden could hit that 15-foot jumper, then maybe it could work, but I don't think they can. But this is big for the Celtics. I hate the Celtics, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm not wearing my Lakers hoodie right now because I wanted to wear red today. But you know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm a little upset that they got him because they lost Marcus Smart, but they didn't really lose Marcus Smart because they got Drew Holiday, who Marcus Smart is really a poor man's Drew Holiday, if we're gonna be real about it. You know, Marcus Smart. If you listen to Celtics fans, Marcus Smart is who Drew Holiday actually was, like showing up in the finals and snatching the ball away to get that layup to seal the deal. He's a better shooter than Marcus. I think they're about the same age, or maybe Drew is maybe a year older, but that doesn't really matter.
So
Um,
Drew's 33.
33 and Marcus about 31.
One is that sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, Marcus about 31. So yeah, I feel like it's a push. Um, really, this is kick the can down the line for the Celtics a little bit, but they're going to have to make a decision about Jalen or
So
Jason.
Marcus Smart, to answer your question, 29. So has
29. Okay, that's
younger
3
by 4 years.
years.
That's
But
in sports years. That's a little
I
something.
I
Still in
feel
your
like
20s.
no, he's not. He's still in his 20s, but I don't feel like in the next 4 years Marcus Smart's going to make that jump where he's a superstar. So Marcus Smart is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart is
I'm
not
saying
going to
more
turn
so in
into
terms of durability. If we're talking about
sure,
29 NBA versus 33 NBA. So
sure. But LeBron got the cure out there, making people not age no more. So LeBron knows what to do. But I don't know. I think I like the I like the Drew Holiday move. Um, it's not going to help them against the Bucks. It's not going to help them against Denver. Maybe it'll help them a little bit against Denver, but it's not going to help them against the Bucks because Drew Holiday is good, but he's not going to be stopping no Damian Lillard. Dame is going to be like, bye bye, bye bye. I'll see you later. So they'll see him in the conference finals. But then again, that might be the thing. They got rid of me for that flashy dude. I'm gonna show him this Celtic green and be a hard worker. So I don't know. How do you feel about it?
so when it comes to this trade, I do agree with you that this is going to make Boston Celtics, whether you like them or not, it's going to make them leaps and bounds better. I don't think
Hmm.
that offense was has ever been a problem with the Celtics, but I believe we've seen at times, especially during the postseason, that when the offense wasn't clicking, they didn't really have, while they were, solid on defense, they didn't really have that major anchor that they could, rally behind in order to utilize their defense to produce more offense for them. A lot of times I feel like they're very much a team that they ride and die by their offense. When all cylinders are kicking, all cylinders are running, they're a difficult team to beat because they have a lot of weapons. But when no shots aren't falling and it's a tighter game, we've seen more oftentimes than not when those shots aren't falling and it's very much a tight game of a basket or two baskets that they seem to struggle when it comes to being able to wrap up those games or to close out those games. And
Hmm.
so by having Drew there, who is a player who's fully capable of not only giving you offense but has a reputation of being able to give you great defense as well, it's just going to make them that much better. And then another thing that I feel like is not getting enough credit is that by having him there on the team, honestly, you don't really need his offense is just going to be gravy when the big thing that they'll need from him is his defense because they have, as I said, they have enough weapons there. So that alleviates some of the pressure off of Tatum, that alleviates some of the pressure off of Brown that are, perhaps defending, some of the other wings or some of the other guards in a given, matchup. And it's going to allow them to be able to focus more on scoring because they're not exerting as much energy playing on both ends with defense. Not to say that they don't play defense, they do. But there is something to be said about that of playing on both ends that sometimes that can, have a drastic effect over, your offense as well because of how much energy you're exerting to be able to play defense. So
Yeah.
like they can place Holiday on, that top scorer, whether it's a guard or a wing, and put what is it Tatum or Brown on someone who's not the lead scorer, and they can actually exert more energy of being able to provide their offense for that team. Um, I feel like it gives them a lot of versatility in terms of what they have because right now I mean, who are we talking about? We have Holiday, we have what is it, Brown, Tatum, and we have
Porzingis.
Porzingis. Yeah, we have Porzingis too. Um, and by having all of those components there, I feel like that's going to give you a pretty formidable lineup. Now, time will tell how it turns up by the end of the year because as we will know, Porzingis has a history of not being very durable. That's my only
Mr.
concern.
Glass.
Yeah, that's my only concern. But in terms of his skill set, he gives them a lot of versatility. So we'll see, because if we're talking about a matchup with Milwaukee, Porzingis is someone that can allow that team to be able to stretch the floor and can keep a lot of the big men that he may be matched up with honest because you
Hmm.
can actually get him out of the paint and give him some opportunities to shoot on the perimeter, which he's fully capable of doing, and that can either remove, the person who's checking him out of that paint, or it provides him a scoring opportunity if they so decide just to take that risk of allowing him to shoot. So it gives them a lot of options. It's just only time will tell based on what we know with some of the players of whether it will stand the test of time based on durability. Because as you said, Drew Holiday, 33, and just as you said with Porzingis, not a great history when it comes to durability. But what are your thoughts on the other? the other two that we had discussed, with the expansion team and of course with MJ.
I think Michael Jordan's been a billionaire a lot longer than they've been saying he's been a billionaire. I just think that, like, Mike don't tell him everything about his money, because it's no way that you could be so affiliated with a company like Nike, and Nike is printing money, that you aren't also a billionaire yourself, especially with, like, because he has so much equity in Nike. He doesn't just have, like, he got, when he signed with them, he said, no, 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 no. I want part of this company too. I don't just want to be selling shoes with y'all. Y'all about to give me, you know, equity. I think they say he gets 10 cents on every dollar that Nike makes or something crazy. So this has probably been going on for a long time. I think the divorce hurt him. So, that's some baller stuff to say. I got $3 billion and I gave my ex-wife 300 of the $1 million. I gave her some get out of here money. Get out of here. I still got plenty money. That's crazy. Did you see that clip? He was in Italy or something, and he was like eating dinner in Italy, and the DJ in Italy started playing the walk up music from the warm up music from the Bulls,
Ah, no, 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 I missed that one.
the Alan Parsons show. Everybody was like, "Yeah!" I don't know what it is about that song. It gets me so hyped whenever I hear it. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, Michael! I love that. That's pretty good. And then, excited for the WNBA to be expanding. I feel like they've done smart moves as far as getting smaller arenas, because you got to think of the age and the amount of time that the league has been in existence. You got to compare it kind of to the '70s for the NBA, and that was one of the hardest times for the NBA. And they went to smaller arenas, they absorbed and expanded, but you got to do what you got to do. They have been breeding. I think the WNBA has been doing a better job, because women still play a lot more college basketball than men, of breeding stars before they get into the WNBA. Because obviously the NBA has a little bit more cachet, and they can just bring a guy out, just like, this is the guy, and everybody will watch him. But like Angel Reese and all those girls, Asia Wilson, I love them. That they kind of stole the MVP from her this year, so we'll see. Do you know what the franchise is supposed to be called?
So they haven't given any, um from what we have in the story, the NBA story, they've given us an idea of when they'll start playing, which is in 2 years, in 2025.
Hmm.
But if I recall, they didn't go into specifics of what. I mean, it's still 2 years out,
Right.
so I'm sure as we get closer, we'll get an idea of what the name of the team is. But at least according from what I saw in the story, they didn't. I didn't see a breakdown of what the team name would be. So, but in speaking to that, everyone knows, well, not everyone, but many people know that Warriors are my team. So, it's cool to be able to see that they'll have a WNBA counterpart, a team uh, that will be cool to have that team. Um, a part of the WNBA, and it's all just in general great to see that the league is continuing to be, successful and expand. I remember when there were only a handful of teams when the WNBA first came out, and to see how it's flourished with the number of teams that they have now and continues to flourish. We're still talking about, even right now, we're talking about them expanding to another team is awesome. So it's great to see, that the league is continuing to thrive and to expand. And I'm looking forward to see, what comes up with that team of, if they have the same approach as the Warriors, because I'm brain farting on her name, but I know it was a part of the recent tournament where she was, and you guys can drop it in the comments. A lot of people were comparing her to Steph Curry. I'm like, okay, well, now that we have
Oh,
this,
not Sabrina, the other girl, the girl that was playing for that lost to Angel. What is that girl's name?
right,
Yeah, the one that was shimmying. That girl.
right, right. So I'm like, okay, okay. Because if we could, if we have that same, aesthetic as we have with the Warriors, and this is just me, just talking. I mean, they may not, decide to go that way. But it would be cool if they if you similarly have the same aesthetic as you have with the Warriors, where we have a team that has a lot of like weapons that are uh, 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 players who are snipers in terms of their capacity to shoot and have tons of versatility. I mean that's the thing that I've always appreciated and why I enjoy watching the Warriors so much is that I love the idea of breaking the mold of what we've come to expect in the NBA, where there was a time there in the '90s. I'm saying growing up myself in the '90s and even into the early 2000s, where there was very much a structure to what we saw of how teams were built and made, where I it's kind of hard to think on now, but I remember a time where it was kind of weird to have a big man to that had guard skills. While it was something that you wanted, undoubtedly, we still had big men that had their backs facing the basket. Like they very much were still some old school centers out there, and unfortunately, because of how the game has evolved now, a lot of them now that had that skill set are either playing somewhere else or they're out of the league because it didn't, they weren't able to translate their game to how the game evolved
Hmm.
in the, recent years, especially with the onset of your Steph Currys and your Clay Thompson, excuse me, and your, what is it, Damian Lillards that are out there that are, pulling up from half court and
The
dropping
four
threes.
point line.
Right. So, um, and then similarly, even with our guards, like I remember a time where many of our guards, while it was a great skill to have and a great weapon to have the threes like that, we didn't have guards that were chucking 9, 10 threes a game. Maybe they were putting up maybe three or four, but outside of that, they had a mid-range game or they had a capacity to get to the rim and get above the rim. So, the fact that we are now in an era where, it's we have players that just as you said, pulling up from the parking lot, chucking threes and making them, and then also having big men that also have guard skills, which is scary. You have someone who's 6'10" and 6'11"
I
that
got
can,
guard skills, everybody. Don't let Brandon say it's scary. I got handles, and I can hit him with the jump shot. That's what I do. So.
yes, right.
I'm old school.
But but no, like you know what I mean. But it's cool to see how the game has evolved. And I feel like the Warriors have been one of the teams at the forefront of that, at least in the recent decade
Y'all still
of
don't have a
how
center. Y'all
how
still
that
don't have
how
a
that's
center. Do you
happened.
have a center
So
yet? Did y'all sign a tall person? What's wrong with that team? Why don't they like tall people on that team?
because we've been having too much success, with the versatility of the small ball that we've been doing, that a lot of
Y'all
teams
didn't
were
have no
copying.
success last year,
That's fair. That's fair. But I don't think it's
and y'all
because
didn't
of
actually have success against LeBron until you got KD.
I don't. But what about the year that Steph? What about the year that Steph won the MVP for Finals MVP?
I
That
wasn't.
that,
I
that
was.
I'm pretty sure that was KD less. I'm pretty sure.
That was a good
Am
one,
I
but
am I
that
am
was
I
a fluke
mistaken that
year.
that was
That was
KD
that was the
less?
bubble year. That was the bubble.
Oh no, that
That
was
was a
outside the
bubble year.
bubble.
That's outside the
Actually,
bubble.
if I recall,
I
the
feel like
Lakers,
everybody got hurt
the
that
if
year.
I recall,
LeBron was
the
hurt that
Lakers were
year.
inside the
Kevin
bubble.
Durant was hurt that year.
If I recall,
Kawhi was hurt that year.
The Lakers were inside the bubble, right?
Y'all
Oh, okay,
played. Who did y'all play
okay,
in the
right,
finals? The
right,
Celtics.
right. The Lakers are in the bubble.
The Celtics. Boo. That's not a
I
good
love how
East
you
Coast
brought
team.
that up, but it was your team that was in the bubble.
But y'all beat a small team. That's what I'm saying. Y'all beat a small team to win that chip. Y'all had all small teams because people was hurt. Y'all got
Mm.
lucky. This is what I'm saying. You need a big man. Like y'all be getting fluke
Oh no, I
ones.
agree with you.
Y'all
He
need a
can
big
benefit
man.
from some
That's why
size,
KD was perfect
but
for
I
y'all.
will also say I don't believe that size was what caused them to lose last season.
Oh, it definitely was.
I say it was chemistry, but that I say that had a bigger impact than that.
We looked like a volleyball team against y'all last year. Everything was getting set back. Eh,
Yeah,
eh.
but in their previous matchups, they also faced size too, and yet we somehow got through it.
Are
So
you talking about? Are you talking about Arvidas Sabonis, son? I know you're not talking about Arvidas Sabonis,
somehow
son.
got through it magically. I don't know.
No, no, sir. No,
We
sir. No,
somehow got
sir.
through it.
No, sir. Sabonis is good when you don't have to plan for when you're not planning for him, like during the regular season when you're like, oh, we played the Kings tonight. I didn't even remember we was playing the Kings tonight.
And
Hooray!
Fox is a big guard too, but somehow we got through them.
I mean, those are only two players, and one of them got his heart
I don't
taken
know.
from
Did
him.
we? I'm trying to remember. We got through them, right?
You did get through them,
Oh,
but
okay, okay.
they
I was
had
just
not been
checking.
in the
I was just
playoffs. That was the first time that team had been in the playoffs since the Bush administration. So please don't act like that is an accomplishment. Let's be
they
for
were having an
real.
incredible year. No one
They
can
had,
take that away from
I
them. They were having
mean,
an
they were
incredible year.
happy to make the playoffs. They were happy to make the playoffs. That's like Michael Jordan that year they played the
But
Celtics.
you're saying that they were happy to make the playoffs, like they just like eked in there. They were having an incredible season.
Okay, sure.
Incredible season.
I'm sure.
They were in the top half of the NBA.
They were.
They were
But
considered one of the elite teams that season.
okay, they
I'm
were
not
the
going to take that
top
away from
half,
them.
but they were
I'm not
15. If they were the
I'm
top
not going
half,
to
they
take
were 15 or 12. They were
Oh
not
no, no,
one
no.
or
No,
two.
higher than that.
No way.
Cuz
No way.
higher
No
than
way.
that. Like I said, Sabonis had an incredible year. Fox
Sabonis
had an
had an
incredible
incredible
year.
year, but we have never
Fox
seen
had an
either of
incredible
those.
year.
We never saw either of those two guys be good in the playoffs. So there was a very low chance that they was going to suddenly get it all together against a Warriors team that be in the playoffs with their eyes closed. So please,
Oh, okay. Thank
please.
appreciate the props. Appreciate
I
it.
gave you the
Appreciate it.
props because then
Appreciate
you
it.
got hit by that
Appreciate
buzzsaw. You got
it.
hit by a buzzsaw. You came through in
Appreciate
the
it. Appreciate those
buzzsaw. That's
props.
fine.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
right.
I thought you were trying to get a little offhand there where you weren't really considering reality of the situation. So, but be that as it may, we're going to wrap up this edition of This Week in Review. Of course, I want to thank Spills for hopping on and talking some of these topics with me. Before I let you go, man, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can find me at Truly Spill on Instagram. Currently, we are mourning the loss of the Commanders' pride as we lost to a team who hasn't won a game in a year. So, mourning. Just really sad, ladies and gentlemen. So sad. Back to you, Brandon.
So you can find me on X. Man, that's really weird to say, but
They're
you
gonna
can
take it
find me
from him. They're gonna take it from him. I can't wait till they take it from him. The bankers are saying they're gonna take
you
it.
can find me on X at Brandon Choi ENT, y'all. Also on Instagram at Brandon Choi underscore ENT. With that being said, be on the lookout tomorrow. We have a breakdown of Loki happening. As you all
Oh,
know, we have
oh
Loki
yeah.
that came out started this week, and we'll also have a breakdown, of course, of Star Trek Lower Decks that we'll get into tomorrow as well. And then next week, of course, we have New York Comic Con happening. So be on the lookout for that. And then I might have an announcement of another con that is around the corner once New York Comic Con is said and done. So be on the lookout for that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there. See you soon. Peace.
Peace.